here's a story that'll just warm the cockles of your heart on this as we get ready for Thanksgiving, because this is really one that you will really like. Jack Johnson. Now, this is Jack Johnson, who plays defense for the Columbus Blue Jackets. So I've never heard of Jack Johnson. Okay, the only Jack Johnson I know was the boxer, but Jack Johnson is a good player, I gather, right? He's got to be a good player.
He's on the Olympic team,
Well, he's got to be a good player because the guy just signed a $30 million, 7-year, $30.5 million contract in 2011 with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, Jack Johnson was on the Olympic team, right? Jack Johnson, bright young player, okay? Signs a $30 million deal in 2011, announces now that he is bankrupt. You got that? It's 2014. He signed this deal 3 years ago for $30.5 million. He is bankrupt. How? Let's see. Jack Johnson claims that Tina Johnson, that would be his mom, and Jack Sr., who would be his dad, well, the first thing he did when he became wealthy and signed that 7-year, $30.5 million deal was he gave his mother power of attorney, which means that's just like it's her money. She can sign the checks. She can do whatever she wants. First rule in life, you give nobody power of attorney, okay? If you do, you give them power of attorney for that one deal, one moment, one thing for that day. You can't be somewhere, you want a deal done, you give them express power of attorney to do that one deal. That's very legal. This is insanity. Now, it's his mother. If you can't trust your mother, who are you going to trust? Well, Jack claims that his mother, Tina, and his father, Jack, first thing they did was they went to Manhattan Beach, California, and bought a house without his knowledge. So they hijacked it for California and bought a house in Manhattan Beach without his knowledge. Then, wait, gets better. They borrowed $15 million against their son's future earnings. They didn't borrow something to get the roof fixed. They didn't borrow it to buy themselves a nice convertible that they thought they had driven him to practice for all these years and they had bought him his first hockey stick. They borrowed $15 million against his salary at percentages up to 24% on the money. 24%. They went to the guy who said, listen, you don't come in, we're breaking your thumbs. I mean, 24% on the money. Listen to this. Many of the loans carried interest rates bordering on the outrageous. The mortgage on the house. This is at a time when money is cheaper than any financial guy in the world can get you money at 2% if you have any money at all right now. 2%. 2% is max you're going to pay right now if you have any money. They're paying 12% on the house and 24% and up on the loans. Why? For what reason? In a time when money's cheaper than it's ever been. According to documents filed in the United States Bankruptcy Court of the Southern District of Ohio, the 27-year-old Johnson has Zippo left. Zilch. Out of the almost $18 million he has been paid. His future earnings also appear to have been compromised by the tremendous debt and interest rates rung up. His creditors listed debts against him at $1.68 million and counting. Johnson claimed his assets, $50,000. His debts, more than $10 million. You could say this, I picked the wrong people. They led me down the wrong path. They were his parents. parents? How did he know his parents were Bonnie and Clyde? I picked the wrong people. I got people in place who were trying to fix this. Maybe I should have tried to fix it long ago. In 2008, he dropped his agent. Somehow, I bet you can find a connection between that agent and mom. I guarantee you. There's some connection between mom and the agent somewhere along the way. 24% on future earnings. That's what they were paying in interest in a 2% world. Johnson is reportedly now surrounded by a new legal team, and has retained certain people, including a new attorney, to protect his interests. According to the story, Johnson's parents also spent money on cars. They made additions to the California home and extensive travel costs. There were warning signs during Johnson's career, but the scenario is not uncommon. You know, there was one guy who ripped off half the Islanders years ago. I mean, ripped off a whole bunch of them, as the story goes. It's a sad story, many years ago. And players and their, hey, I saw it as an example. Bill gave this speech for years about players on when they came in on how to deal with checks and balances. You know, have an accountant, have an agent, have a financial advisor, 3 different people. They check on each other. They're independent of each other. They don't know each other. Don't let anybody sign your checks. Always pay your own taxes. Make sure your taxes are paid. Go on and on and on. I mean, these stories are so sad, but let's be honest. This is his mom. You know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was ripped off by an agent. Left holding the bag on a bunch of hotel deals that went bad. We know of these stories of nightmarish situations with players and agents and players and representatives and players getting ripped off. But this guy was ripped off by his parents. How can you not trust your mom? I feel really bad for this guy. I really do. Because let's be honest, he shouldn't have given a power of attorney, but who's going to think your mother's going to send you down and pay? The house, you could actually say, all right, listen, they went and bought a house. Maybe they paid $2-3 million for the house. Guy's got a $30 million contract. But they borrowed $15 million in cash at 24%. What'd they do with the money? $15 million in cash. What'd they do? What are they playing? What'd they go to Monte Carlo? $15 million, and they're paying 24% interest to who? My God, who did they decide to pay 24% interest to? Oh my God. Johnson has petitioned to maintain his existing bank account so as to continue paying for his living expenses, with documents revealing that at the date of petition, he carried a balance of $6,000 in his checking account, $2,000 in his savings account. Sad. He has 3 years remaining on his $30 million deal. He's also worried about the welfare of his brother, who lives with his parents in Michigan. That's not even their primary house. This story's The question I have, though, which the story doesn't indicate, is what did they do with the $15 million? They took loans of $15 million and were paying exorbitant rates against it based on his contract. What did they do with the $15 million? Where'd it go? Many of the loans carried interest rates ranging from 12 to 24%. One loan that was for $3 million, there were a bunch of different loans, had a 24% and up rate on it. So listen, you go into some guy and say, I want to borrow money from you. And the guy says, all right, listen, I need 24% a year on my money. You get up and run. You say, yeah, give me the $3 million. You know what the interest is on 24% on $3 million? What the this story is unbelievable. Whatever happened to the mothers out there in the driveway baking cookies, you know, there? Did you have a nice game tonight, son? I baked you some cookies. No, this one's after the game. Son, listen. I met with a nice financial advisor today. You got to spare $3 million? Can you imagine this? They borrowed $15 million against their son's future earnings. Scary. Here's the make man.